Hey guys, this is FFG with Jinsen here, and today we're going to be showing you guys a very cool deck profile that won a recent store championship. I'm with NoMames, and he won first place with Millith, if I said that correctly.
Yes, correct. aka Lilithmon Mill. This deck was introduced in EX4 with the inclusion of the Growlmon line because of the Chaos Gallantmon in that set. However, it didn't really see a lot of play outside of that set in Japan. Um, some people tried it out here and there, but I believe that this deck truly has a place in this meta for BT13. That's why I decided to take it to a store champ.
What was your rationale for that? Because I know Mill like as an archetype because it has spanned like a lot of different card games. Like I came from Magic the Gathering, and I know that Mill decks are very common there. I was wondering like what was your rationale behind it, considering this current meta, since you brought that up.
So because this meta is based around a lot of stack decks, take your Fine Greymon, your Mirage, your Bloom slash Hydra would like to see their line. You're basically attempting to gain resources, which is treating your trash as a second hand, playing out memory boost to find certain pieces, while denying your opponent their preferred stack. So maybe they will attempt to come out with a stack that isn't to their liking, and you easily take advantage of that.
I want to start off with the 4 Glaive Memory Boost.
So because you specifically are milling, you have no control over what gets sent to your trash. So this lets you grab a specific piece that you might need, and that's the primary purpose of it. The secondary purpose is that because it's memory boost, you can then stack it with other memory boosts to just have a huge stockpile of them for a big push on the following turn.
Another cool thing I really like is 3 Alice. I have barely seen Alice used, but the fact that she's here makes me very happy because I always figured she was a really good tamer.
So this deck relies on the interaction between War Growlmon and the Alice. Because you require a second body to trigger the Alice's effect, and War Growlmon is able to bring out that second body for free while you naturally go up your line, it leads to a very consistent turn when you go from your 4 all the way to your 6.
Really nice to see Lilithmon in a deck that is like, I'm not sure if you're around, but we were used to be doing like the Lilith loop, like create like a Lilith stack, then use Mega Digimon Fusion when it was not banned to go into Anumon's Ward, bring back level 5s, play another Lilith, grab back Jack's Rage, just do like a bunch of like memory looping to just assemble like a very oppressive board state. How does she fare here in the milling deck?
I wasn't around back then. I started BT7 and I got into using Lilith BT8. But now, because of all the inclusion of all these different tools that you have for milling, you no longer need to go a cycle route. And because Lilith lets you grab back any options from trash, it leads you to have much more options for your game plan. Specifically with stuff like the purple memory boost, your Jax raids, your callings.
I was wondering, like, how big does your trash usually get? Like, what seems to be, like, the average?
Average is usually about 20 to 25. Sometimes you're able to push out Olilith super early and start doing chip damage, but other times you might be looking for any of your level 6s. You might struggle to find a 4 here and there. So sometimes your trash can get as small as maybe like 8 to 10.
And so I also noticed the secret Gallantmon here. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the black Growlmon can get it back via the deletion effect and its, like, I think main effect on the card. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when the black Growlmon digivolves, trash 2, and you're able to grab back any of the Gallantmon line, and the same is true for its on deletion, you're able to grab back any piece of your choose.
It's just really amazing to see like this deck actually come to fruition in Digimon. I do have one more question before we get to your matchups. It's the eggs. Was there a reason why you chose the purple Gigimon over the red Gigimon for like the extra draw?
While you would like to get the extra draw because it can help you search for a piece you might need, whether it's a Jax Ray to boost your big blowout turn, a memory boost to find, say, your 5 or 6. The issue is that on turn 1, if you do not find a rookie with the red egg, you could be stuck with a hand where you have to either play Alice, Heart Slam, one of your 4s. God forbid you have to slam a 5 down. The worst thing you could possibly do in this deck is simply pass, because
Gotcha.
you want to be as efficient as possible with your turns.
Now let's go into matchups. I believe the store championship was 3 rounds, if I remember correctly. Do you remember your matchups?
Yes, so round 1 was Blackboard Greymon.
How was that?
So Blackboard Greymon has an interesting matchup because it's able to block multiple attacks, and your plan is to primarily set up a big turn where you spam small bodies to deal chip damage. They're able to block a lot of that damage. Not only that, but because they get so high, even your taller stats can have trouble just getting over them by simply attacking. Plus, they're just inherent called removal protection, right? You rely on both your Deathlingers and rivals to clear a body off a board a lot of the times, specifically for a tall stack. So because they are able to just nullify one of those each time, it could lead to a scenario where you simply can't out their large stack, and they're able to deny you enough hits to get aggressive on their end.
Gotcha. So I was wondering, because I don't see an Avenge Kit here to help you like rebuild your deck again when you're close to milling out. Was your win through just milling them out, or do you actually like manage to get through to their board state via like your Guillaumons and etc.?
I did manage to get through their security both games with a combination of Guillaumons and Galamon.
Wow, I think it's because, like, if I remember correctly, was he Black War X focus or like Gaomon focus, or I'm not sure, like, or was it more like toolboxy? I'm not sure you'd be able to see everything.
It was definitely toolbox focused.
Gotcha. Okay, so they didn't really always have like the defensive lines line up to like block every single little Guillaumon that was gonna be coming in.
Game 1, they tried to go into Black War Greymon X to stop bodies from just stepping away. And in Game 2, he tried to get more aggressive with the Raid War Greymon.
What was your second round?
Second round was Security Control.
Security Control? That's very interesting. I know. I was wondering, did you manage to outlive, or did you manage to actually mill them out? Because they're trying to do the same thing to you, actually.
Yes. So both games, I ended up milling them out. However, Game 2, I was very close to simply just clearing out security and swinging for game.
That's amazing to hear. What was like the process about it? Like, did you try to mill both of yourselves really fast? Because, you know, none of this milling is one-sided. I know security control can like just slow down if they want to. So I was wondering, like, how did you manage to get them to mill out faster? Right?
Because you're applying offensive pressure at the same time as milling, security control has to decide whether they want to prioritize board clearing or recovering. Because if they do either one at the wrong timing, it can lead to either you spamming that board repeatedly with the Rush Guillaumons and the Rush Galamon and simply just poking them at them repeatedly. And if they focus on recovery instead of board clearing, you're then able to maintain a stack with something like a Ruin Mode as their top end. And so now they can't play stuff like their Magnet Angemons or their Wisemons. Get those utility effects.
Now we go to your final matchup, but what was it?
It was actually Hunters.
Hunters?
Yes. And the interesting thing about this is that Game 1 was won through mill out, but Game 2 was won through clearing out security.
That's amazing. How did the mill out game go?
So because it didn't really realize how much of their deck got trashed from the effects, they still prioritized drawing as if they were playing a normal game, and then didn't realize that they drew too much until they had about 5 cards left in deck. I was able to simply clear them out, and you can tell this affected the player because in Game 2 they didn't prioritize as many draw effects, but that also meant they were missing pieces.
Yes. That's very dangerous for a Hunter's deck, actually, because Hunters need to, like, cycle through their deck really fast because they need to, like, fuel their Tamers, make their one stack really tall, really big, have a lot of these effects. But yeah, no, since that the natural part of Hunters is actually drawing to replace the cards that you just put into the stack from your Tamers, it actually makes them, I think, more susceptible to be milled out because they need to constantly replace cards that they just lost to the stack. So they have to basically try to do their best to rush you down really fast, but if they're not able to get to your get through your defenses really fast, then they end up just drawing so much to the point where they're just enabling your game plan.
And what's cool in the second game was because they were having trouble finding their pieces, the Lucemon in this deck actually came up to where I had enough cards in trash, the average 20 or 25.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to play it for 8. I was already at 4. So I didn't give them too much memory because they already had a memory tamer set up. They already committed their resources under one of their tamers, their Black U.
Mm-hmm.
So by popping that, I denied them not only the Digivolution sources, but also deny them their effects. The issue with them trying to superior mode is that they can't really do it because you are hiding your rookie in the back most of the game until you're ready to commit such a large push.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, you've either set up so much that you might be pushing for lethal on the following turn if they don't kill you that turn. So they have an issue controlling you. You don't really get hurt by one of your pieces getting tucked under, specifically under your Alice, because that's the only tamer you would willingly play.
Mm-hmm.
Because you absolutely need that effect. Everything else getting tucked under a different Digimon is completely fine because it's all going to go to your trash anyway. Game 2, I was actually able to establish 5 memory boosts on the board.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so because I already accrued all that memory that I could just use at any time, but more importantly, because I used those memory boosts, specifically the purple and the mist, to gain those resources that I was going to need for a big push, there wasn't anything they could really do to stop me from doing so, because they can't affect your hand, and they definitely can't affect your trash. So no matter what, I knew all the cards that I needed were safe in my possession.
That is amazing. Honestly, it's just really nice to hear like a deck like this that is like still, I think, growing as an archetype is really becoming its own thing. I think, like you said, what really helps this deck is the Secret Gallantmon. Rune Mode is a great control piece. Maxing out the glaive, you have extra trash synergy with the Rivals Barrage, Death Slinger. Also, you have the one creepy mon to bring back anything you want. I guess to help to start closing off this profile, is there any cards that you wanted to change out, bring in, or you're something that you're willing to try? Because I think you're still experimenting with this deck, correct?
Yes, but I think for my personal playstyle, I like the way it is. I know some people aren't big fans of the Secret Gallantmon because it's technically not searchable or grabbable off of the purple, the glaive, calling. You only have the one avenue, which is the Black Growlmon. And some people might say, well, if I play it, I'm only going to play it as a one-of. And my thought for 2 of them is sometimes the issue can simply be just finding one in the first place. But before we finish, I do want to add a few closing notes. This deck is definitely not beginner-friendly at all. You have to be able to realize 2 things. A, when to switch your win condition from attempting to clear the security to milling them out, because that's definitely one of the skills that's necessary to pilot this deck. And the second is being as efficient with your turns as possible, because you do not run a memory setter. You have to know what times to do what actions, specifically if your opponent does not have a memory setter. You have to know when you're willing to give up more memory than you need to, such as when I had to clear a stack playing a Rivals Barrage. Are you willing to give up that 7 memory, or do you let it rock for a little bit and just prepare for your next turn, knowing that you're able to stabilize or even win the game?
Thank you, everyone. That was NoMames' deck profile for Lilith. Give this a try at your locals, and we'll see you next time.